I brought I stayed up late last night making stuff. And I've got 4 things that I do, but I'm not gonna do them all. I'm gonna ask you guys what you wanna hear. But I am gonna show you one thing, cause I think it's really cool, and then I'll give you an idea, something else. Let me just back up and say that I got into DIY long before I started beekeeping. So it was probably back in 2016. I'm a backpacker. I go in the woods and I backpack and I don't see people for 5 days. The only thing I see are bugs. And as somebody that likes to not put deep on my body, I was in search of trying to find a holistic kind of bug repellent. And that is how I got into essential oils. I started making my own bug repellent and took different kinds of sprays and stuff into the woods. Does it work as good as DEET? No. Am I not gonna have cancer sooner? I'm hoping. So that's what got me into DIY. You're gonna notice I have a bag of beeswax. That's because I started doing this before I became a beekeeper. And also because this year my bees decided to take a break, and I don't know what they decided to do, but I didn't get anything out of my hives. So I'm using beeswax, store-bought beeswax for my recipes. The one thing I want to show you, and then this is kind of non-traditional, I kind of made this up myself. You can do your furniture. George does a furniture polish with like a mineral wax and stuff. I make a furniture conditioner that's food safe. You can condition your wooden spoons, your cutting boards, your things like that. What you can also do with it is when I cut up papers in my kitchen, this is like a coffee chart. I have another one here I'm gonna get to. I have a coffee maker that has different sizes and different scoops, okay? I take these things and after I make what I'm going to show you, I rub it on here and this is now waterproof paper. This can sit on my kitchen counter and it's not gonna the ink isn't gonna smear. When I go hiking, I waterproof my maps. I don't buy special paper. I don't buy special map seal that has chemicals. I make my own waterproofing paper agent. When I go backpacking and my boots need to be, I don't buy anything. I use this on my boots. I have used this for so many things, it's unbelievable. And where is it? I wrote this thing. So this right here is 3 parts of coconut oil. I use organic and it's 1 part beeswax. And that is it. The method is always melt your wax first because it's harder, like Monica was saying, always put the wax in. I'm using a pot of water on those stoves called, the electric stoves? Induction stove. I use it on an induction stove so I can control the temperature so that I'm not heating it up too much. So I put the pot of water on, I get that to heat up a little bit, and then I just take a Pyrex measuring cup and I put that in. Here's the thing, leave the handle sticking out because when you go to lift it up, it gets hot. So if you leave the handle out, you can always still pick it up. I put the wax inside there, I let it start to melt, and then I put the coconut oil in. Once it's all melted, I stir it up a little bit, I take it off the plate, I let it cool a little bit, and then I put my essential oils in. For this, I think I used the cedar wood because cedar wood is very good for wood, and it smells really good. So this is what your rag looks like after it's been in there a while. I don't use this one for my boots. I'll get a separate one for my boots and that one stays with my boots, but this will go for everything else. I'll waterproof my paper. I'll go ahead and treat my wooden spoons. I will pop them into the microwave for like 10 seconds just to warm them up so they really absorb the wax. And I gotta say it really conditions wood really well. I love this stuff.
So it was 3 parts.
3 parts of coconut oil. 1 part wax. Let me just double check and make sure that's right. Wood conditioner, map seal, about 3 parts coconut oil, 1 part wax, and whatever essential oils you want. The other examples I have, and I don't get to demonstrate them, I'm gonna have them for sale or for people to look at. I make a face cream. Since I started making this, I did not go out and buy face cream anymore. I do a hair pomade. I don't go out and buy any hair products. I make my own and it actually like really holds your hair in place. And then what's the other thing I make? Just a hand cream, like a lotion bar. So I'll talk about one more thing if you guys want to hear it. You guys have a choice. Hear it. Which one?
Face cream.
Face cream. Face cream. Perfect. That's probably the toughest one. And I brought an example of the 2 different face creams I made. let's get the paper that tells me what's in it. So for face cream, you need aloe vera. You need beeswax. This recipe needs almond oil, coconut oil. I'm gonna try to get Kristen to help me put this stuff up on the website, anybody else's recipes. So instead of trying to write it down, you guys can just access it if you want.
That's great.
Coconut oil and then essential oils. For this recipe, you basically take, I have 2 versions now because I've tried to do this with real aloe leaves and it is brutal. You have to take your aloe leaves and you have to cut them, stand them upright in water and let that yellow stuff drain out of them. Once you do that, you get a peeler, you peel off those hard spiky sides, then you get a knife and you kind of shave off the flat side. Once you get it there, you get a spoon and you scoop it out. And you keep doing that until you get enough aloe vera out. Once you do that, you add vitamin E and vitamin C because that is not shelf stable and you have to add vitamins to it to keep it shelf stable. Or you go to Trader Joe's and you get a little thing of aloe vera gel. And this is an example of the 2. This is fresh aloe vera leaves. It's a little bit yellowy. And this is fresh face cream. They feel slightly different, but they both feel absolutely amazing on your face. I would like to say I've been using this all my life and I'm 58, but I haven't been using it all my life, but I have been using it for the last about 8 years, probably since I started turning 50. Once you get the aloe vera all mixed up, you're melting your wax. Take the wax, which is 3/4 of an ounce, and you melt it. You put in the almond oil, the coconut oil, you mix it thoroughly, and then you let it sit. You actually let it come to room temperature. And the first couple times I read this, when it says, don't try to do this sooner, really let it come, I'm like, no, you let it warm, it's gonna mix up better. And every time I've done it, it does exactly what they say. It doesn't mix, it separates, and you get this goopy kind of wet, kind of cream and kind of wet. It's gross. So you have to let both of these products come to room temperature. So you've got your aloe vera gel and you got your beeswax. They've even now suggested warming up the aloe vera gel a little bit so that they both come to exact same temperature. And once you do that, you get a really good blend that mixes up. And that's it. Like I said, it's easy rather than, I didn't want to demonstrate it because it takes forever. But just to give you an example of, it's a little time consuming to make, but it is doable. And we'll put the instructions up on the website.
What are you mixing it with?
I'm using my hand blender.
That's what I was wondering.
Yeah, they recommend putting it in a blender, and my thing is then I've got to get my hand in the blender to get it off the sides, and so I stick it in a bowl now. I'll put the wax in there once it's warmed up. I'll put the aloe vera, you're supposed to pour in the aloe vera gel, but it's kind of hard when you're by yourself to do that all at the same time. So I put the aloe vera gel in and I just get the hand mixer and I mix it. And it's the coolest thing to watch because it goes from clear to yellow to white. It's bizarre, it's really cool.
So it's emulsifying it,
Yeah,
like making
yeah.
pancakes.
I know Leela's made, I know Monica's made. How many people have made face cream? I was really hoping all 3 of us could talk about our different versions because I know hers is definitely a lot more complicated and a lot different. And you and I have talked about it.
Simple, yeah.
We're similar, I think. The other thing that I make is hand salve, which I think Monica does as well. I can't go through winter without this hand salve. If I don't use the beeswax hand salve, anybody get those things with the corner of your knuckles or the corner of your fingers, they crack? It is painful. It is so incredibly painful. But if you use a homemade hand salve, which is exactly what she said, it's beeswax, it's shea butter. My recipe is coconut butter and cocoa butter, shea butter, and sweet almond oil. Melt the beeswax, put the other oils in, mix it all up, take it off the heat, put in 15 drops of essential oil, and then mix into anything you want. So what I did is I actually made it in here. And I have a slicer and I can weigh it, and if anybody wants to purchase some of that, I'll let you try some. I don't go anywhere without that.
Those are like silicone?
Yeah, they're silicone molds. They're like soap molds, but you can use them for anything. And this one is, I made up a batch of wood conditioner. If anybody wants to try that later.
One thing, Donna, too, is like
your body lotions or lotion bars and the lip balm. In the summer, the heat, you wanna add a little more beeswax to keep it, cause it
Yeah,
gets
it's
really
soft.
soft, yeah. So I had a customer's like, I can't even get this off of me, it was winter, and I used equal parts, and it gets, you have to really use your body heat, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you can really
Soften it
regulate the
to
different
soften, yeah.
ingredients.
If you're selling that, how do you have to label it?
I actually have never sold it. I make it for myself. I'm only selling this to recoup what I paid into it. I'm not selling it to make a profit today. I figured out, like, for instance, where are those blue things? There's an essential oil, hand salve, poured in there, but I also poured these into these little Christmas decorations. Do you see how they're green? Okay, how did they get green or blue? There's an essential oil called Blue Tansy. This bottle of oil is $90. Drops is $2. So I might sell these for $3 just to recoup the $2 drop. And so I'm not doing this to make a profit. I'm doing this just to recoup the money I put into it. So just for people to try it. So, I mean, I'd love to give it all out for free, but the stuff costs money, so it's something. But that's all I've got. Buy one online.